Your height isn't entirely decided by your genetics. Your DNA doesn't say you will be 5 feet 7 inches or 6 feet 4 inches. What your DNA actually does is set the upper limit of height you can achieve, which is usually way taller than you might think. And you can literally force your way to achieve that potential. Consider this fascinating example. The average South Korean man stands at around 5 feet 9 inches, while the average North Korean man stands at just 5 feet 5 inches. That's a 4-inch difference despite them having nearly the same genetic background. The reason for this dramatic difference isn't genetics. It's access to proper nutrition, healthcare, and lifestyle factors. Without the right environmental conditions, it's nearly impossible to reach your full height potential. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Take Devin Larratt, one of the most dominant arm wrestler. If you look at his arms, you'll notice something remarkable. His dominant arm is actually longer than his non-dominant arm. This isn't a birth defect or genetic anomaly. It's the result of years of targeted mechanical stress that literally reshaped his bone structure through consistent training. So the question becomes, can you actually communicate with your bones and tell them to grow? The answer is yes, and today I'm going to show you exactly how this works. The foundation, Wolff's Law. Everything we're about to discuss is built on a principle discovered in 1892 by German surgeon Julius Wolff. He observed that bone in a healthy animal will adapt to the loads under which it is placed. This became known as Wolff's Law, and it's the foundation of everything we know about bone remodeling and growth. Think of it this way. Imagine you're the manager of a construction company, and every day you're asked to carry heavier and heavier loads. What would you do? You'd hire more workers and get stronger equipment, right? Your bones work exactly the same way. When you place consistent stress on them, they don't just get tired, they adapt by becoming stronger, denser, and in many cases longer. This is why bodybuilders have much denser bones than the average person. It's why Devin Larratt's trained arm grew longer than his untrained arm, and it's exactly why the Maasai tribe from Kenya, who practice daily jumping rituals, are some of the tallest people on Earth with an average height of 6 feet 3 inches. But mechanical stress is only half the equation. There's also something called hormonal stress, and when you combine both types correctly, you can literally force your bones to grow at any age. The key is understanding how these systems work together. Now, before we dive into the specific techniques, we need to talk about the foundation that makes everything else possible: nutrition. You can think of bone growth like building a skyscraper. You need the right materials delivered at the right time, or construction stops completely. The most important building block is protein. Here's something that might surprise you. Your bones are actually about 50% protein by volume. Most people think bones are just calcium, but that's not true. A comprehensive study published in the Journal of Clinical Nutrition found a direct correlation between protein intake and height growth in adolescence. The participants who consumed more protein grew significantly more than those who didn't. So how much protein should you consume? On average, you should consume 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight each day. So if you weigh 70 kilograms, that's 105 grams of protein daily. This provides the amino acids your body needs to build and repair bone tissue, especially in the growth plates where bones actually lengthen. But protein alone isn't enough to turn that raw material into solid bone. Your body needs several key helpers, and the most important one is calcium. It's no coincidence that countries with high dairy consumption, like the Netherlands, tend to have some of the tallest populations on Earth. Dairy products like milk are one of the best sources of bioavailable calcium. Research shows that calcium intake alone can make a difference of up to 6 centimeters in your final height. During the growth process, your body needs a constant supply of calcium to build and harden the bone tissue in your growth plates. Without enough calcium, your bones simply can't grow properly, no matter how much protein you're eating. The zinc factor and hidden minerals. Moving up our nutritional hierarchy, we encounter zinc, and this is where things get really interesting. A massive meta-analysis of 33 different studies found that zinc supplementation can increase height velocity by up to 0.4 centimeters per month. That's an additional growth of nearly 5 centimeters per year you could be missing if you're not getting enough zinc. But what does zinc actually do? Zinc helps your body make and activate specialized cells called osteoblasts. Think of them as your bone's construction workers. These cells are responsible for laying down new bone mass. Zinc also regulates the pathways that facilitate bone remodeling. In simple terms, zinc makes sure that your body can actually use all the protein and calcium you're consuming. The best sources of zinc include red meat, eggs, pumpkin seeds, cashews, and lentils. But here's what the Maasai tribe reveals about one of nature's most overlooked height boosters: